Hey everybody, in this video I want to show you a histogram, or rather a frequency distribution that has a graphic component to it. We often think of these as histograms, but I'm going to show you a way to do it that's not very full of finesse. It's not that exciting. It doesn't use a lot of different data analysis packed tools, if any, etc. So quite simply, I have all these observations all the way going down to row 501. So 500 rows of data or observations. And I've got these categories that I want to break it down into. So I just want to do a frequency distribution. So the easiest way to do this is a count if. So I'm going to do the range here, comma, criteria. So I'm going to look for all the zeros in here. And once I find them, I'm going to count them. So I got 13 of those there. All I have to do now, because I have column to column, C to C, I don't have like C2 to C501. I don't have to absolute cell reference anything. So all I have to do is drag down. Now, if I drag down all the way, it calculates off all those values that I had before. And in fact, it's seeing this 13 here and this 13, it's actually seeing it as a 0. So we want to be careful when we drag down whenever we have data next to a column, because Excel will try to think it's smarter than you. So put simply, here's our distribution. So I can put in a count. And now we can go here and do a chart. Now, because if I do a chart this way, and I do a column chart, it's going to show 2 columns there. That's because it sees this as numeric values. Now, what I'm just going to simply do is I'm going to go over here to this little corner where I get that, and I'm going to drag to the right and go right over here. Now, unfortunately, what happens is I have a 1 to an 11, even though my data is 0 to 10. So we can't do it that way. So what we have to do is we have to go over here and clean it up like we did, but then we're going to edit our data by going to select data, and we're going to go over here, edit. We're going to add an access label here, 0 to 10. And there we go. Now we have 0 to 10 there. We have what we want. So we can make the chart look interesting, change it up, etc. My pet peeve, when you have a title that's the same as your legend here, get rid of the legend, etc. So do a better job on that in your charts and your work. Now, if this was a histogram, or if somebody asked you what the distribution is, you can see that the candlesticks generally get larger as they go to the right. There's more content, there's more distribution over here. So it's skewed against the left. In other words, the left is at a disadvantage or a deficiency. There's not as many distributions over here. If we want to say that this is right in the middle, the 5 and the 6 is in the middle, because don't forget you have a 0 there. So you actually have another digit over here. So this would be right skewed, where if the distribution had a lot of weakness over here. However, in this case, when we look at it in its entirety, it is left skewed because it's at a deficiency over here. It's leaning against the left. Okay, so against. That might be a nice way to think about it. So in this case, if this was on your homework or in your project or something along those lines, you'd say it was left skewed. Okay? Because of all of these down here, clearly you can see that. I mean, yeah, we've got some deficiency in here, but generally speaking, we have higher highs. And the lows never get back down to the previous lows as over here. We have higher highs and higher lows withstanding these here, but in contrast to those 4 over there. So that's quickly how you do this. And it's a great way to understand your data and the shape of your data. Because if you have 500 rows of data and you're not quite sure what it looks like, what the pattern is, you certainly can do a couple of the things like the 5Ms, but a graphic like a quick histogram here is so beneficial to so many people. In a business meeting, you might be sitting there trying to explain the 5Ms to somebody. Like mean, min, what's the median again? And you might be like, well, it's 17. No, I mean, what does median mean? And then suddenly you're teaching stats in a business meeting, and you do not want to be in that situation. Okay? You don't want to be teaching stats, the definitions of things in a business meeting. That should not be the majority of your time spent.